Welcome back to the Exotic Car DIY Shop. Awesome video today because we're going to be finishing off the exhaust system on my 430. So we already did the Forza valve, we did the Klein exhaust. Today we're going to be addressing the manifolds or the headers. Now headers are a very popular topic on these, well, because they tend to fail and they can be expensive to fix. And a lot of people, especially YouTubers, seem to love to brag about how much it costs to fix them, like some kind of elitist thing. Like I spent
many thousands of dollars,
$30,000, $10,000, $15,000, even $20,000 on some exhaust setup. Does it really cost that much? I don't know if that's an elitist thing to make it seem like these are unobtainable. I buy cars like this because I'm an enthusiast. So does it actually cost that much? Luckily, there are a lot of options to fix them. So on one end of the spectrum, you have headers like the Capristo, the Tubi, or the Larini headers. All very great headers. Nobody's going to say anything bad about those. But the cons with those is they're very, very, very expensive. For example, the Capristo manifolds cost as much as the manifolds on my Jeep, except for the Jeep came with a Grand Cherokee Summit around it. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't mind spending money, but at the end of the day, headers are just welded steel pipe. There's no crazy technology going on. They've been around for near 100 years. For me, what I'm buying just has to fit or be justified by the cost. On the other end of the spectrum, you have the Asian imported headers, and that would include the associated power headers, or I think currently they're called the top speed headers. They come from Asia. If you ask anybody that uses them, they love them. The only things I've heard bad about them are sometimes you get warped flanges and they need to be decked before they install them to prevent exhaust leaks. But you know, they're not a bad header. The only thing I would definitely caution you to do, if you're gonna put headers in these, you have to mitigate the heat, because if you don't mitigate the heat, you're gonna melt stuff in your engine bay, wires and plastics, and possibly even catch a fire.
It's on fire.
So do blankets, do header wraps, something like that to mitigate the heat. I'm not a believer in ceramic coating for heat mitigation on headers. I think you saw the normal guy supercar, he almost burned his car to the ground because of that. But a thin layer of ceramic paint is not going to do what a header blanket would do. So get that addressed. And then speaking of fab speed, so mixed opinions on those. I think a lot of people love them. I'm not knocking their quality or anything like that. But if you do your research, what I found is other people were saying that basically they are also an imported header that is rebranded and sold at a higher cost. Do your own research. I don't have any stake in the game there. So what did I end up choosing for my car? Well, I can tell you that it comes from a brand you're very familiar with. They're both blanketed and shielded for heat. 3, they have no known failures. And 4, the best part is they cost about $600 each. So what headers am I talking about? I'm actually talking about the OEM Ferrari Challenge headers. Now these are a factory Ferrari part that comes on the 430 Challenge cars. They're actually also identical to the ones that come on the Scuderias. They just don't have the air injection pipes like the Scuderia does. But they are a high quality upgraded version of the header. They have no pre-cat and they have no known failures. And the best part is I bought these for $1,300 shipped to my door. And you really can't beat that. So yes, in this video, going to be both installing the headers on the car, then we'll do some sound tests and hopefully some performance tests as well. The only other things you really need, you need these little caps to kind of fill in the holes here. And then I'd recommend new gaskets, buy a couple extra studs just in case you break any studs, and then nuts for these. And then really that's it. And in addition to the headers, we're also going to be doing high flow catalytic converters. So we'll get to that more later in the video. 430's on the lift. We have the diffuser off and the under tray off, and that exposes everything we need to get the exhaust system off. So just to reiterate, I in no way will ever skimp out on anything, and I don't think this is a skimp out way. I think this is really a good high quality way to have an upgrade for your car. Overall, it looks like a pretty simple job. 10mm O2 sensor, 13mm, and then a bunch of 12s. Anyway, fingers crossed, let's get started. We'll start by loosening everything. See, up top, if you reach through this hole, you can get to the oxygen sensors. Break the oxygen sensors loose, and then you should be able to take them off by hand. Now we can disconnect the rear O2s. You can either get these from the top or the bottom. They're also pretty easy to get from the bottom. You can use a pair of 13s to undo the flange bolt. And once loosened, these do rotate around if you need them to. Remove all the flange bolts. Now we can move on to the manifold. We should be able to use a combination of 12mm sockets and wrenches to get all these guys off. I actually bent an old wrench to break this one loose, and I was like doing like a quarter turn at a time. I totally forgot I have stubby gear wrenches, and found it, and look, now I can take it off. It's really easy. All right, so I've successfully broke them all loose, and now we're just going to take them off. I'm going to leave the ends on just so it doesn't fall off. All right, so now with all the bolts removed, flange undone, O2 sensor undone, should be able to remove this from the vehicle. So now we can see our engine with the manifold removed. There's actually plenty of room over here to put it. What made it hard, obviously, was having the AC compressor here in the motor mount to try to get access. So you do have to squeeze your hands through here. But if you come over and look at the other side, wide open everywhere. I mean, there's quite a bit more room to squeeze in here. So this side's going to be the exact same removal as the other side. This one was much easier. I think I only spent about 5 minutes doing it. All right. Maybe. Go ahead and remove the old gasket. All right, here's a quick side-by-side comparison of the factory headers versus the challenge headers. As you can see, they're very similar in design. I think really the main difference is going to be those have a big catalytic converter there. Well, these guys do not. Not exactly sure where these crack, but if you look here, you see how there is a kind of a clamshell and then a slip-in piece with no weld. Over here, they have a nice welded slip-in piece into the clamshell. So maybe that is one of the big differences that keeps them from cracking. So that's obviously going to make a lot less heat here near the edge because you don't have a glowing hot catalytic converter. Anytime I take off parts, I always get kind of curious on what it looks like inside. So here we go. Here is the exhaust port on an F430. Actually, see those marks up there on the top? Those look exactly like these are CNC'd, ported from the factory, I bet. Let's check another valve. Yeah, so we got some really clean valves. Nice. All right, well, there you go. Curiosity fulfilled. That is what they look like. Pretty smooth. All right, so now we install the new gasket. Now we can carefully install our new challenge header. Maybe. There we go. Like a glove. I did opt to buy all brand new nuts on these, and you can note that they're actually kind of a self-locking nut. They're slightly bent on purpose, so you should hold them in there just perfectly. Now install all the nuts. At least get them threaded. Now we can just go through and kind of snug them all up, and then again, these don't get cranked down. You pretty much just good and snug with a 1/4-inch ratchet is about the best you're going to want to get. Last thing you want to do is be breaking studs. One thing I found out on these challenge headers is the weld seemed a little thicker, so I wasn't able to get my gear wrench on there. So what I did is I actually just took a wrench and cut it with the open end, and that allows me to actually turn these bolts more than like a 1/16 of a turn, which made it go on a lot easier. Problem with having lock nuts like this is you just got to wrench them the entire way down. They're tight. So here are our brand new headers all installed, all the brand new nuts all tightened down. You don't really need to crank these down. There's no way you can get a torque wrench on them. Basically, you're using a small 1/4-inch ratchet anyway, or a small wrench, so it's almost as tight as you can physically do with a small wrench. So anyway, I'm very happy with that came out. So now we just need to install the collector bolts, re-aim our tips, and then this thing is ready to go. Now we can tighten them down. Definitely want to make sure you tighten them down evenly. Now I spent a few minutes kind of readjusting the forward back motion of the tips. Now that they're perfect, I can go ahead and tighten these clamps. Don't forget to hook your O2 sensors back up. I'm actually doing it from the bottom. All right, guys, so the headers are now fully installed, double checked everything, and it looks good. I'm kind of excited to start this up. So one reason why, again, they say you should always get heat protection over here is because there's reports on the forums of like melting like rubber boots, killing your starter. There's a lot of plastic lines and everything around here for your starter, your motor mount, all these tubes and lines up here. If you don't get any kind of heat protection, it will just wreak havoc on all this stuff. Melt power steering lines, melt stuff. So always do the heat mitigation. All right, so first start, man, is it loud on initial startup. So this is why I wanted the Forza valve, because now it can be very loud or it can be quiet. And that is why you get decline over the S-line, because the S-line does not have the option to go through the muffler, and thus the S-line is obnoxious all the time. Now I want this thing to be obnoxious sometimes, but not all the time. Anyway, still letting kind of all the initial break-in smoke get off of them, and just making sure nothing's burning. Everything looks clearance now, but yeah, it's just we're just kind of getting the initial smoke just coming off the headers. That of course is normal. I think we're should be able to take it for a drive here. Alright guys, so the challenge headers are on the car, so let's just talk about them real quick. So I did a visual inspection, and like I showed you, they look a lot beefier. More welds, thicker welds. Even the primaries either look thicker or maybe it's just the welds around it. I did pull out a micrometer, but like I said, nobody so far has reported a failure on these. So how are they for your car? Well, first off, no check engine light. I've had these on there for 800 miles or so. No check engine light whatsoever. My car is not tuned. It's a 2007, if that makes any difference. And so good in that department. There's no pre-cat, so that's going to be a little healthier for the car, meaning that you're not going to have any risk of that degrading and getting sucked into the cylinder. So next thing is performance. Now, I don't have a dyno, but I do have an airport. And so I went to the airport, did a couple 60 to 130 runs with my draggy device. Before the challenge headers, all my runs were about 10.2, 10.106, you know, around that time frame. After the challenge headers, they're all under 10. I did a 9.95, I think a 9.9. So basically 2 to 3 tenths faster in the 60 to 130, which that's actually a pretty good increase. I don't know what that translates into horsepower wise. Now the next thing is the sound. So I did a bunch of different setups, obviously, right? So we did stock, Klein. So the Klein seemed to fix the tone. The challenge headers have added volume. That's basically what they did. I also did test pipes with the challenge headers, and those were insane. Those were so loud. And so that is a big reason why I think you need the Klein over the S-line, because you need the ability to mute that, because unless you just like it crazy obnoxious and not be able to hear all the time. The other really downfall to the test pipes was obviously you're killing baby seals, you risk a fine, so those weren't going to stay in my car at all. And also when you let it idle in the garage, like your eyes just burn. The only one I didn't test was Sport Cats, and that's going to be what's next. I've had some Sport Cats made. We're going to put those on the car, and I think that that's going to be the perfect sound, because it's going to let a little bit more performance, a little bit more sound through, and they also look really good, and you're fully legal at the same time too. that little asterisk I put in there, the big bummer about these. So since I've been looking at these 4 or 5 years, they've always been right around 600 bucks each. And at the time I'm editing the video, I go through and I check the part numbers and they've gone up significantly in price. So I guess the honeymoon might be over. I'm hoping that's just a temporary price increase, but they've gone from about 600 bucks each to about $1,000 each. So huge bummer. That still is a very, very good value, but you know, maybe not as much of a steal as it was before. And so fingers crossed that they come back down on price. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching this video. Thank me with a thumbs up in the bottom. Next is going to be the Sport Cats, so stay tuned for that, guys.